Hello, my bomb blowers and module masters, and today I am here with another Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes modded module tutorial, and today I am here with the granddaddy, Uncolour Flash. Uncolour Flash is one of Speaking Evil's Color Flash variants, and it is probably the most difficult one. It's not difficult in the sense that performing it is difficult, but it is very long. There is a reason it is worth the most points on Twitch plays out of all of them. Let's go ahead and get started. This model does not require any edge work, so as soon as we get our bomb, we can get started. So what makes Uncolour Flash so difficult is the amount of instructions that there are. Which is surprising considering the module initially is just blank. So yeah, there's nothing on the module when you first load it up, but when you press the yes and no buttons, the yes and no buttons are assigned a sequence of words in different colors, as you normally would find in a Color Flash module. So I'm going to write down I'm going to press the yes button, and a sequence of 6 words in 6 different colors are going to appear. I'm going to first write down what the words are, then the colors, in 2 different go-throughs of the sequence. So let's do this. And now I'm going to write down what the colors are. Now for the no sequence, I'm going to do the same thing. But do note that the no sequence scrolls significantly faster, so it may take you a few attempts to get both of the sequences you need from the no sequence. So let's go ahead and try and get as much as we can from the no word sequence. And now for the colors. Okay. So, here we have the yes word sequence, the yes color sequence, the no word sequence, and the no color sequence. So now, let's start going through these instructions. Every time I do this module, I take these instructions very slowly, because they're intentionally worded to be confusing. The wording is not bad, it's the best it can be, but the instructions are very complex. So, the colors of the subsequences. So, I did forget to mention this, but if during the yes sequence you press the no button, this happens. In the yes sequence, the colors are assigned to their own individual subsequences. We're going to be getting 3 subsequences from Table A. So let's do this. The colors of the subsequences in order are given by Table A using the 2 words in the no sequence that share their colors with the word white in the yes sequence. So the word white in the yes sequence has the color blue. So we're looking for the 2 words in the no sequence that have the color blue. These are yellow and white in order. So the first word is going to be yellow, and the second is going to be white, which means that the order of our subsequences is going to be green, then blue, then magenta. What this essentially means is that there are 3 stages to the module. The first stage is the green sequence, the second stage is the blue sequence, and the third stage is the magenta sequence. We're going to be doing the same thing for all 3 of these subsequences. We're going to get different results, of course, but we're just going to be doing the same process. So each display color in the no sequence corresponds to a transformation in one of the lists in Table B. So if we take a look at Table B, you have this. Each color has its own list of transformations. And as you may expect, there's going to be a Table C, which contains all of the different colors that may appear in these subsequences. You're never going to get these colors in the yes or no sequence. They're always going to be the standard red, green, blue, magenta, yellow, white. But in the subsequences, only these colors can appear. Now, we're going to have to determine which of these 6 transformations, sets of transformations that we are going to use. And we're going to do that by looking at these instructions. The correct list corresponds to the color of one of the two words in the no sequence that match the last word in the yes sequence. So, the last word in the yes sequence is red. The correct list corresponds to the color of one of the two words in the no sequence that match the word red. So, the word red is first yellow, then white. In the no sequence, it appears in yellow and white. So now let's check out this condition. If the yes sequence has any word color matches, so if any of the columns in the yes sequence have the same characters, which they do not, then this applies, but since it does not, we're going to use the second color. So the second occurrence of the word red has the color white. So this means we're going to take the white list of transformations. So the transformations assign a transformation to all 6 colors. So let's do this. We have a key here. A Romeo followed by a number means to move that number of spaces to the right. Similarly, a delta followed by a number means to move a number of spaces downwards. Now, do note that there are both positive and negative numbers. I honestly don't know why he decided to do positive and negative right and down, when a negative down is just an up movement and a negative right is just a left movement. But, you know, speaking evil works in mysterious ways. So anyway, there's also a horizontal and a vertical flip. And just to show off what those mean, a horizontal flip takes the position of the cell you're looking at and flips it to the horizontally opposite cell. So Mantis and Turmeric are horizontally opposite. So are Cinnabar and Frost. You can see from the left edge, going in 3 cells gives you Cinnabar. So if we're going to flip it, we're going to go to the right edge and move in 3 cells, which gives us Frost. Similarly, we're going to do the same thing for Lemon. I did just unhighlight the subsequences. I apologize. Though I think it was green and magenta. I'm just going to write this down somewhere. Let's just do another review here and write that my subsequences are green, blue, magenta. The word white in the yes sequence was blue, and then it was yellow, white, which means, yeah, we have green, blue, magenta. Okay. Anyway, back to this. A vertical flip takes a vertically opposite cell, and if we're trying to vertically flip an opposite cell that's inside of the row, we take, that's inside of the column even, we're going to take how many cells it's in the column it's in that's closest to the edge, and then go to the other edge and count that many cells in to get its opposite. Additionally, we do have these 3, which are actually numbers. So we can show this off right now in the white transformations, because the first white transformation, assigned to red, means we're going to move right negative, which just means we're moving left, by golf whiskey. So in color followed by the whiskey corresponds to the position of the word in the yes sequence. So we're looking for the position of the word green in the yes sequence, which is the second. So we're going to move left by 2 cells. Green means we're going to move down positive, which means down by M. M is the number of word color matches in the no sequence. So we're looking for the number of columns in the no sequence where the 2 letters are the same. We have 1 here, and that seems to be the only one we actually have, so we're going to move down by 1. Blue corresponds to a horizontal flip. Yellow corresponds to a down minus, which just means up, by the position of red in the color sequence, which is second. For yes, that is. Magenta means we're going to move right minus, which is just left, by 1. And white means we're going to move right positive, which is right, by 5. So now we have our transformations. Now before, it said that each display in the no sequence corresponds, each display color in the no sequence corresponds to a transformation in one of the lists in table B. So, I am additionally going to, let's do this, yep. I'm going to write down the no sequence in 12 rows. So we have the no color sequence, that is. yellow, white, red, green, white, yellow, magenta, red, blue, blue. I have some extra space, so we're going to do this. So, now that we've gotten the transformations, and now that we've outlined we have our subsequences, and we have the transformations laid out, we no longer need the display the yes and no sequences. Which means I can give myself even more space with the module. Okay, so now what we're going to do is get the 12 words in the green subsequence. So we're going to press yes, wait for the word that is in the color green to appear, and then press no. This is going to give us a sequence of 12 words that will appear in table C. So let's do, and I'm going to put them adjacent to these colors. These were the colors in the no sequence, and their colors correspond to transformations. So say our first color that appeared in the green sequence was the word Malibu. It's going to be the words. You do not care about the colors of the words because they're just going to be the same color as a subsequence. So when we press, when the green colored word pops up and we press no, then we're going to get 12 different words in the color green. The colors of the words don't matter. Even though that they're colored in the table, that's honestly just theming. So, if we had Malibu as the first word that appeared in the green subsequence, the first color that was in the no sequence was yellow, which means that we're going to take the position of Malibu in the table and move up by 2, which would result in blocks. So that's how this works. So we're going to press yes, wait for the green colored word to appear, then press no, then write down all of the words in order. This may take me quite a few attempts because I'm going to have to type out possibly a very long word, then press the down arrow, then type in another word, and I just have to keep doing this. This is probably the hardest part of the module, but we're going to get through it. Plum, Blocks, Forest, Maya. Okay, so we have the first 4. Let's go ahead and get the green sequence again. Unfortunately, that's the last, but... After Maya, Lagoon, Atoll, Marigold, Canary, and then one more time to get the final 4. After Canary, Lilac, Coral, Blonde, Frost. Okay. So now we have the green subsequence, and we have assigned them colors from the no sequence. So now we're going to transform the positions of these words from their positions in table C to different cells. And below table C, you're going to see some diagrams. So when we transpose the positions of these words, we're going to get one of these 7 patterns. The patterns consist of 8 cells, but we have 12 cells. This is because 4 of these cells are not going to be part of the pattern, and these are going to be referred to as decoys. I'm also going to write what each display corresponds to, because that is important. So let's go ahead and start our transformations. So first off, the 2 yellow ones. We have Plum. The yellow transformation means we're moving up 2. So if we move up 2 from Plum, we're going to go to Pink. The other one is Atoll, so if we move up 2 from Atoll, we're going to go to Flax. Now for the white, we're going to move right 5. So right 5 from Phlox, 1, 2, 3, we're going to wrap around. 4, 5 gives us Pearl. The other white is Lagoon, so moving right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives us Sienna. Next, let's take the red ones, which we're going to move left 2. We get Forest, which brings us to Maya, if we move left 2. And then the other red is Coral. Moving left 2 takes us to Cobalt. Next, we're going to do the green ones, which we're moving down 1. Maya down 1 takes us to Shamrock. And Canary down 1 takes us to Lace. Next, let's do the magentas. We're moving left 1. So left 1 from Marigold brings us to Mauve. 1 left from Lilac takes us to Atoll. and then finally the blues, which is the horizontal flip. So blonde is on the left side of its row, so we're going to horizontal flip to the opposite side, which brings us to emerald. And then finally frost, it's 3 in from the right edge, so we're going to go to the left edge and go 3 in, which gives us cinnabar. And so now we have the ending positions of our cells, and you may notice here we have our pattern. It looks like a horizontal bar on top of a 2x2 grid. So this is actually our pattern. If we take a look, this corresponds to pattern A. So now we're going to have to find out which position inside of table C that this is in. So to do this, we're going to count the number of cells in between both the top edge and the bottom edge. So there are 4 cells between the top edge of the table and the top edge of the pattern. There are 2 cells between the bottom edge of the table and the bottom edge of the pattern. So, whichever number has the lower number of cells in between the edge of the pattern, which was the down section, which only has 2 cells, is going to be the vertical section that it's in, either the top or the bottom. We're going to do the same thing for left and right. There are 5 cells in between the right edge of the pattern and the right edge of the table, and 1 cell in between the left edge of the table and the left edge of the pattern, meaning that the pattern is in the left side of the table. So this means that we're going to be looking at the bottom left condition. Now, there is a possibility that you can get C. So the only way that C comes up is if the number of cells in between 2 edges is the same. So if we had 3 cells between the top edge of the table and the top edge of the pattern, and 3 cells between the bottom edge of the pattern and the bottom edge of the table, that is when we get C. This can happen to either axis. It doesn't have to be in the direct middle of the table. As long as it's in the direct middle of one of the 2 axes, then the central rule will apply. So if you have 3 spaces between the 2 edges of the table and the 2 edges of the pattern, then you're using C, regardless of whether or not the other axis gives you a definitive position, left or right. But if you're in between the vertical axes, then you're going to use center. So, now, let me briefly go over this. We have display is and display corresponds to. So, our condition for the bottom left of pattern A, we're going to look for any cells that correspond to a cell in the left half of the pattern. So corresponds to refers to these colors, and display is refers to these colors. So if a cell tells us to look for a display is, we're looking for a cell where the first column applies to the condition. If we're looking for a display corresponds to, then we're looking for something in the second column that applies to our condition. That's why I wrote out the 2 columns, because you need both of them. So, display corresponds to a cell in the left half of the pattern. This means that our valid displays are the one that corresponded to pearl, which is this one, cinnabar, which is this one, lace, this one, and sienna, this one. So, we need to submit any one of these 4 displays. All 4 of these displays are valid displays to submit to the module. So how to submit is that we're going to go back into the green sequence, the green subsequence, and then when any of the valid displays come up, we're going to press the yes button. This will submit whatever is on display when you press the yes button. So let's do this. We're pressing yes, we're waiting for the we're waiting for the green color to appear, then press no. And then, when the word Phlox pops up second, we're going to press the yes button and submit Phlox because that is one of our 4 valid displays. Oops, I just completely whiffed that, sorry. And the module gives us the stage path sound from symbolic coordinates. I hope you enjoy doing that because now we're going to do it 2 more times. So, what stays the same from generation to generation? Please mind the dog. Anyway, the colors are going to stay the same for each subsequence. Additionally, the transformations are going to stay the same for each subsequence. So all that's really changing are the starting positions of the cells. So we're going to look for the word in the blue subsequence the word in the yes sequence that has the color blue. Then we're going to press no when that word appears, and we're going to get the blue subsequence. Indigo, cherry, emerald, mauve. Cardinal, phlox, peacock, coral. Dolly, dolly, ivory, cinnabar. Let me put the double L there, and now let me put tabs to show the 2 columns. And now we're going to start transforming. So the 2 yellows are indigo and phlox. We're going to move up 2 from those positions. Up 2 from indigo takes us to crimson. Up 2 from phlox takes us to cotton. Now let's take our whites. They are cherry and cardinal. Right, 5 from cherry takes us to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bone. Now, since the table is a 10 by 10 table, if you ever get a transformation of 5, you can move either way. So, we moved right 5 from cherry to get to bone, but if we moved left 5 from cherry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're also going to get bone. So, whichever way you move doesn't matter if your transformation is 5. Additionally, if one of your variables is 6, such as the magenta word, green word, or white color, magenta color, then instead of moving 6 in one direction, so let's say we're on lilac and are moving right 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 brings us to cardinal, we can instead move 4 spaces in the opposite direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4 will also take us to cardinal. So those are some tips that I have when doing this. You don't have to move this extreme amount, and you don't have to actually wrap around at all. Well, you might actually have to wrap around if you get, like, up 1 from Sage, and you have to go to Cherub. But anyway, we're going to try to limit that as much as we can. So anyway, the other white is Cardinal, and we're moving right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gives us Swamp. Next, let's do the reds. They are Emerald and Dolly. We're moving left 2. Gives us Coral and Ruby. Next, for the greens, we have Mauve and Coral. We're going to do down 1, so that's going to go to Snow. And Coral is going to go to Dolly. Next, Magenta, moving left 1 from Peacock and Dolly, which gives us Dijon and Forest. And then finally, Blue, the horizontal flip, from Ivory, goes to Rose. And from Cinnabar, goes to Frost. So, this looks like the pattern, and if we take a look at our possible patterns, this corresponds to pattern G. So let's find the quadrants in. We have 1 cell between the right edge and 5 from the left edge, meaning it's going to be on the right side, as well as 1 space between the top edge and 5 between the bottom, so it's going to be in the top section. So our pattern is in the top right section, which means we're going to submit a display that is 6 letters long. Since this says display is, we're only looking at these displays. So any of these displays that have 6 letters in them are valid. Indigo and Cherry both have 6, and that's actually it. So submitting either Indigo or Cherry will be valid for the blue subsequence. Now notice how Bone was one of the decoys. The module can do this, it can put a decoy adjacent to one of your cells. Adjacent to one of the cells in the pattern. It's kind of mean, but what did you expect? Okay, so now we're going to go to the blue subsequence and submit either indigo or cherry. And that was valid, so now we're going to do it one more time for the magenta subsequence. Same transformations, same colors, just a different sequence. Cotton, mint, shamrock, cotton. I said that these were just for flavor, but I didn't actually realize that they do matter. If you get this pattern, then you need to submit ones that are specifically the cells inside of the table. I've actually never gotten this before, so I didn't actually know that. Anyway, let's go back and get the remaining magenta colors. Claret, Snow, Mauve, and Dolly. And then finally, Snow, Mauve, and Dolly. Azure, Flax, Phlox, Mahogany. Now, let's put our tabs to detonate. We have 2 columns, and let's do our transformations. Yellow is up 2, so Cotton and Snow up 2 go to Bone. And Atoll. White is right 5, so right 5 from Mint. We're going to move left instead, because that's not going to make us wrap around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brings us to Mauve. And Claret. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 brings us to Lace. Right is left 2, so from Shamrock, that gives us Cinnabar. And from Flax, this gives us Pearl. For green, we're moving down 1. From Cotton, it's Forest. And from Dolly, it's Frost. Magenta is left 1. From Mauve is Sienna. From Azure, it's Shamrock. And then we're going to horizontal flip. From Phlox, it's Azure. And from Mahogany, it's Lemon. Oh, that's wrong. From Phlox, it's actually 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's Flax. So, this looks familiar. This is the same pattern we got in stage 1, which is quite unfortunate, but same as always. 4 cells between the top and 2 cells between the bottom, so we're in the bottom quadrant. 1 cell between the left and 5 between the right, meaning we're in the left quadrant, so we're in bottom left, meaning we're submitting a display that corresponds to a cell on the left half of the pattern. So either Pearl, Cinnabar, Lace, or Sienna, which are Pearl, Cinnabar, Lace, and Sienna. So submitting either Shamrock, Claret, Mauve, or Flax will be valid. And that is a solved Uncolour Flash. Boy, wasn't that fun. So the module takes so long because it's 3 stages, and you're doing the same thing for each stage. The instructions here are complex, but please take this as slow as you need to. I take a while reading these instructions when doing this module, and I've done it a lot of times. I mean, you might not believe that because I just told you I haven't gotten Pattern B before, but believe me. So, that's going to be it for this tutorial. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.